I'm going to take you through the process of refining junipers. Chinese juniper is a much misunderstood topic. Chinese junipers are Junipers chinensis, but the actual variety, no one knows the exact botanical nomenclature. But we have the ordinary kisu, which is commonly sold, and then the modern trend now is to grow the very fine leaf one called Itoigawa. So this is a Itoigawa, look at it. Lends itself to carving and driftwood and gins, and they always have this dramatic driftwood. Look at this is another Itoigawa. This I imported from Japan 15 years ago in 2007, nearly 16 years ago. And they always have these beautiful twisted trunks. This is another beautiful one, all frozen solid to the bench. Look at it, I can't even move it. So that's another one. So all these are Itoigawas. Kisu is the old-fashioned variety. These are all Itoigawas here, all Itoigawas. So I'm going to work on some Itoigawas to show you what can be done. Now this is another type of juniper, but I don't know why the color is like that. Maybe the way it's fed. The way you feed the plants has a very marked effect on the coloration of the foliage. So these are beautiful Itoigawas with driftwood. This probably is not an Itoigawa. So we'll take you into the greenhouse to show you what we're going to do with two particular Itoigawas that we picked out. Not very big ones, but with a lot of detail. Now we picked out two Itoigawas, medium-sized ones. These come from Japan, and they are deliberately grown long so that we can do something with the top. As I showed you earlier, we sometimes air layer the top to get another tree from that. But because we've got so many, I've decided that I may not keep all that. So let's concentrate on keeping the tree small, this high, to see what we can get out of it. So this is another example. I could easily air layer that and get another tree, but I may just use it for cuttings and just concentrate on this lower portion. So we will set about just wiring everything and then doing some carving. So I'm going to get Josh to wire all these branches, and then we'll style it and then decide what to do with the top part. So there are two of them. So Josh is going to do wiring on all these trees. So we are setting about wiring this entire tree. We haven't decided what to do with the top. So this is Josh doing a bit of wiring. I'm going to work on one tree as well. So we just turn the tree around to show the wiring. So these have just been wired. Where we can, we will use two branch principle. So it's just wiring it and arranging all the branches in place, and then we see the difference. So let me explain to you what I've done to this tree. I've only put like 3 pairs of wires on it, on the bottom branches. Let's look closely to see where I've wired it. You can see how I've wired it. So all I'm doing is bringing the branches down, and I'm going to wire virtually every single branch. There are some thick branches, like that's a very thick branch. That's a thick branch, that's a thick branch. There are 3 thick branches. Whether I will use it for making gins or not, I haven't decided, but I'll keep the tree short up to about there, and I'll decide what to do with the top. You know, one is always greedy, wanting to air layer everything, but if I air layer everything, I'll never see the end of the tree. So I may cut it off and use it for cuttings. So let me continue wiring, and you will see a change in this tree. Right, I've wired that branch, all these lower branches are wired, and you'll notice that there are some pretty thick branches. That's a thick branch, this is a thick branch, this is a thick branch, this is a thick branch. Normally one would cut them off, but I'm hesitating about cutting it off, because if I cut it off, it may leave a big space which may not look so good. So I will leave it for now, and then there are these long branches. The apex, I could either use this as the apex here, or this as the apex. So there are 2 choices here. And that branch is above the apex, but I'll still keep it. So let me wire these two for a start to see what happens, and I'll wire this as well. So that is the sort of shape I'm wanting. If you can see, that is the shape I'm wanting, and then I'll decide what to do with those two big ones. So I'm going to wire these two pairs. Okay, so the next thing you will see, I'm going to wire those two pairs. All right. So let's see where we've got to. We wired all these lower branches. We wired this one. We wired this one, and I'm now going to do the proverbial bite the bullet, because I could be air layering forever and a day. So I'm going to keep the tree that small. So I may keep a little bit for ginning, but let's cut that off there and we make a potential gin at the top. But all these little branches are going to come off. They're going to be used for making cuttings. I'm making sure I'm tearing heel cuttings, not just snipping them off. So heel cuttings I'm going to make. That's what we do, just wrench them off. And then the top I'm going to literally, with a blowtorch, I may give it a bit of a twist. And this is the new apex here. And now we've got two problems here. These two thick branches, they are much too thick. So I'm going to cut them off. I'm going to just take more cuttings from there and make gins with those. I try not to waste any of these bits because Itoigawa is such a rare juniper that every small cutting is worth a bit. So we propagate a lot of Itoigawas ourselves. Lots of cuttings are used. Okay, so these will be ginned. Remove the bark. I don't need to show you what I do, so those two will be ginned. Now this branch is springing up. I know I can bring this down, but this is springing up. I'll keep that branch, but I can split the branch and bring it down and tie it with a guy wire and see what happens. So I'm going to just split that branch with the branch splitter. I know it will bend over, and with a guy wire I'm going to bring it down. If it works, well and good. I'm going to tie to one of the existing branches. There's a thick branch there that I can pull down to. It's so cold that my hands are frozen. Oh God, I've got to entrap the branch. Get it out of the way so that I pull it right down. So that branch is going to lie like that. So can you see the tree? So I will gin some of those branches to show you what it looks like. So I've got now a very reasonable, what we call Shohin size bonsai. And I'll do some spiral ginning. These can be ginned, and that's the tree done. So we've got some cuttings out of that tree, and I'll put it in a bonsai pot. So this is the tree that Josh has wired. This is the one I did, but Josh has done one as well. So all the branches have been wired. If you come close, you'll see all the wiring has been done. All these branches have been wired. Now the big question is, what do we use as the front? Now this tree is very, very interesting. As with all these trees, there are always more than one solution to the problem. So let's look at this. If you look at the tree from this side, it's a bit busy on this side, so one would discount this as the front. but it is always possible to use it as a front. If you use this as a front, you can make this the apex and cut the top off. So we are talking of getting rid of most of this bit. So blooming cold. So we're getting rid of all that. See, the tree is going to be like that. See how nice it looks? Like that. So that is possible with a nice long branch. With a nice long branch extending that way. So this is possible. This can be gin, this can be gin. There's very nice gin and it's leaning slightly to the front. But if you look at it from the other side, this is also possible as a front. This is also possible as a front. And if you use this as the front, this is very straight, so this will be taken off. So I think we can again do the same thing like what I did in the previous tree. Let's keep a bit of the top in case we want to do some gins with the top. After all, I always have to remind myself that customers buy these trees, and when they buy the tree, they then decide what to do with it. So I try not to dictate too much of my taste on the tree. More cuttings, and we will take the top off like that. Tear the gin. So there you go. We don't want all that at the top. So that is going to be a long gin. In case you're wondering why that is, all that will be ginned. You don't want to rush it, but all that bark comes off from there. So you can either have that with that as a gin, or you can use this as the front and that as the gin. So you see, there are so many choices. Again, this tree has two possible fronts, and it's for you to choose which one you would like to use as the front. Both are nice.
I think that side looks better.
This side?
Yeah, from here.
With this at the front?
Yeah.
So there you go. A short exercise on 2 junipers.